hope it.
So
engage. And I was like...
As if you didn't contradict yourself by even complaining about the music, you then immediately contradict yourself again by clapping for engage.
That I did.
Fair enough. I mean, I liked it too. I didn't mind the music though, so I didn't really contradict myself.
Yeah.
But
I know. I was thinking, I'm like, why is the music annoying me, but the engage isn't, or the, walk down memory lane? I don't know. I can't.
Fair enough. It doesn't matter. That's the key.
Yeah,
it really doesn't matter. Yeah. Even if you're contradicting yourself, I mean, I'm poking fun at you at this point. It does not matter. You're allowed to. It's a TV show. Like, it's not the end of the world. We're not debating whether something in history really happened or not. And so, whatever. I had another point on that I won't. I will go into it. No, I will go into it. Hold on. Okay. So this is why, as fans, we get to argue so passionately about what part of Discovery or Picard we loved or hated, because the stakes are so tiny. Like, the worst thing you've said is, I didn't like the fact they played the music from another show. Like, whether that's true or not is so meaningless in real life that you're allowed to contradict yourself on this stuff. You're allowed to love the walk down memory lane and the engage and the fact that Picard, whatever, and that Maddox isn't going to be the right Maddox anymore.
Or
you
JL.
can hate that. Right. You can hate JL and I can love. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's a TV show.
That is very true. Very, very true. But can I say and Picard was getting ready to say engage because you knew it was coming. And he got his hand up there. And I don't know if you've ever watched Star Trek in a big room of fans. I have, thankfully, very thankfully, I've had the opportunity multiple times. And when he said engage, the whole feeling, and I was clapping, and it just took me back to those times when I was in a theater and Fathom Events had Best of Both Worlds, or I was at the Beyond premiere, like watching with fans and seeing him say engage and me clapping just brought all of that. And I was just like, this is the best. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Fan service completely.
Yeah, I've never had the ability to watch a show in a large room of people. I watched a stage reading of Star Trek, the one with the whales.
Voyage Home.
Yes, but 4?
Star Trek 4.
4. Yeah, Voyage Home. I saw a stage reading with that where...
Oh, yeah, you were telling me about this.
The people who were voicing it were not the original actors either. It was cool because they were all Star Trek actors, but like... it was people from Voyager, and it was people from TNG, and it was people from whatever. So it was really cool. And that was really cool because at certain key lines of the movie, and that's one of my favorite of the movies, but at certain key lines, the whole room would say it. So you didn't even hear the person who was saying it.
Right.
And it didn't matter that, like, some of the women were playing men and vice versa. Like, they didn't even keep the genders the same of the roles. But in your head, you still heard the person who said it in the movie anyway. Sometimes if it was a key line, if it was a regular line, it was just, I heard, whatever, Dax's voice, but because she was one of them. But if it was like a key line of Kirk's, you still heard Kirk say it, or you still heard Spock say it, even though it was a woman playing Spock, let's say,
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was really cool, and that was my kids' like first experience with like Star Trek fandom at all, and we immediately went home, and the first thing Michael did was pull out my DVDs and throw the movie in to see how similar the movie and the stage reading were. Plus, he wanted to see the whales.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, so that was episode 3. The end is the beginning. I'm doing okay with these titles. They're doing pretty good for me.
Yeah, I mean, the title makes sense. The end of his career was the beginning of this mystery.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was their intent, but it sure seems that way.
Yeah.
So. Or the absolute ending of his Starfleet career, because he knows he can't get a ship now, is the beginning of this new weird smuggler connection.
Or the end of that Romulan Ramda ship being assimilated was the beginning of the reclamation.
Right, yes. There's a whole bunch of...
End is the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Any final thoughts?
So my final thoughts are, I really enjoyed the episode. Like I said, I only had the one little problem with it. Just seemed like they were like pandering to fans who've been screaming about whatever. And so I thought it's another great episode. I love the fact that we did get a let me down, quote unquote, let me down episode. I know how that could sound terrible to the ear. It's not a bad thing. A let me down or let me up match, as they call it. Yeah, it's not the best one on the card. It's not the best episode ever, but we got a lot of information in it. And in a show like this, it really just means it slows down. It doesn't speed, because from what I saw of the coming attractions, we're going to have another heavy episode where I got to watch 4 times. It was the perfect week for me for them to come up with this episode, because I didn't have time to watch it 3, 4, 5 times. I had literally time to watch it right before we recorded and get a drink and come down here and record. So it worked out. I don't know. I'm really interested in the whole, destroyer thing, and which one are you, the one who lives or the one who dies, and that's why she calls her mom, and her mom lies to her, so she's kind of figuring out that my sister's dead, but she doesn't know, and then she passes out, which could be the mom hitting a switch that makes her pass out. We'll find out later. The mom's clearly somehow involved in a conspiracy. Don't know if it's the Romulan conspiracy or another one, but something's going on there. Or she knows she's the destroyer and she knows Daj had to die anyway for the prophecy to take place. Whatever. There's something going on here, and I can't wait to find out what it is. And I don't know if we're going to get that whole answer in season 1.
Yeah. My final thoughts, I completely agree with you. I really liked, as I said at the top of this episode, the whole thing with meeting this Romulan who was reclaimed, Ramda, and that twist there, and learning more and seeing Hugh, which I missed the first time. So I'm glad that I see Hugh now. I am really enjoying these new characters, Rios and Dr. Agnes P. Girardi. She's my new favorite. Make those lists, girl. And I am very interested in Soji and her learning who she is and how that's going to happen. Is it going to be forced? Is she going to realize it more like Daj? What is she going to have the same desire to go to Picard? Like, we haven't even talked about that. Like, what's going to be when she is activated, I guess? What's going to be her response? So there is a lot going on. I'm very excited. I am really involved with this story. I think it's good. I loved, like we talked about, the filming of it, the whole thing. I'm very invested.
Before we finish, I have a question for you. You don't seem to be nearly as bothered by the fact that it's not episodic. Is it because you got used to it watching Discovery, or do you think you're just more entranced in the story it's telling?
At the very end of this episode 3, my brother, because we watched it together, and he was like, it's good, although I still miss the episodes ending each time. And I was like, yeah, I do too, but I'm hoping, like you said in your final thoughts, that we don't get it answered, that this is going beyond the 10 episodes, like even longer arc than a 1 season.
Right. So do you think that's because you just got used to it, or do you just like the story better?
I think I like the story better, and I'm sure that it's nostalgia. Rose-colored glasses. I'm sure that's what it is.
When we talked about covering this, because obviously if we were going to be on all the things, we were going to cover this.
Yeah.
I was actually worried that your nostalgia would make it worse. That you'd have more pushback to the serialization of Picard because you're so used to seeing him episodically. I
am, but it's TV in 2020. Like,
it is. It is.
And it annoys me.
I love the serialization of it.
Yeah, it annoys me that people are like, well, that's not how it's done. Okay, welcome to 2020. I can't help you. I'm sorry. That really is how stories are being told now.
Again, stakes are really low. You can get really upset about it and not worry about it later.
Yep.
So
it's a TV show.
Right.
And if I want episodic, guess what? I have TNG on every format that I could desire.
In fact, the one you watch Picard on has it all.
Yep.
So, I personally like serialized TV. So the fact that these shows are now this way is good for me. But it did bother you a bit when we covered Discovery on the Edge. So I was wondering.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be bothering you as much.
I think it's the nostalgia factor that's... I'm just wearing rose-colored glasses.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
and
have no problem with that.
Maybe the story is better than Discovery.
Yeah, and you've had 2 years of seeing it this way, too. So
yeah, that's
you also did get your short treks in the middle, which give you an episodic kind of nature to them while you're watching them. And
I know, it's a good mix. I like it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of short treks because they're just too short for me, and I want more. But whatever. Oh, speaking of short treks, I know we're supposed to be finished here. I'm sorry. Whatever. I'm editing it. I can talk as long as I want. When they first showed the shuttlecraft coming down at Starfleet, or maybe it was Starfleet, when we saw 14 years prior, I thought we were going to see the kids again.
Oh, that would have been
for like a split second. I thought that because obviously very quickly they showed you Picard, and you're like, oh, well, there goes that idea. But I thought they were going to tie that short trek directly in. And I was like, wow, they're going to use that entire 6 minutes here. Like,
yeah, that could have been like where the girls were running to catch their shuttle. Yeah. Well, now in our headcanon, that's what it is.
Yeah, that conversation is happening and everything's behind it. So, whatever. Okay, I'm done. I got nothing else.
All right. Well, listeners, please join us on our Facebook page at UFP Earth, where we would love to hear what you think of this episode. So, Pat, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Stuck in a wall.
I know, that was so funny. You sent me your pictures. That was so awesome. There, listeners, he was like way high up. I don't even know, what, 20, 30 feet?
20 feet.
20 feet?
Yeah.
Ooh, I was pretty good there.
I measured, my feet were 13 and a half feet off the floor.
Yeah.
So I'm 6 feet.
You're all up there. Hey. I was
so,
like, oh my gosh, scary.
What's even cooler about that picture is if you look at that picture again that I sent you, you'll see a beam next to me.
Yes.
On my left side. There's a green dot. And listeners, you can go and check my Facebook. The pictures are there. And there's a green dot on the beam. And if one of the pictures, you can actually see how high the beam goes above my head before hitting another cross beam. That's the TV we're going to be installing.
The TV?
Yes. So it's about double my height. So it's about a 12 to 15 foot high television. I couldn't tell you how wide it is. I didn't measure.
Yeah.
But that's going to be like the board that tells you when the trains come.
Right.
Yeah, probably other advertisements and other nonsense. So I don't know exactly what's going to be on the TV. I just know I'm running the pipes. It's conduit if you're an electrician. But I'm running that stuff for these TVs and for the lights and the entranceways and stuff. So, but that's where you can find me, stuck in that wall, taking out conduit, putting it back in, taking it out, putting it back in, taking it out, putting it back in, taking it out, putting it back in. They're probably going to finish the building. You'll be getting on trains, and I'll still be in the wall.
Okay.
That's
I just found the picture, and I see it.
Yeah, okay, so see how big that beam is compared to my height, and I'm 6 feet tall.
Yeah. Okay, so when you're not standing 20 feet above the ground, where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter if I can ever get to it. And at Magic Drop 5, there's no spaces, and the 5 is a digit. You can also find me on Twitch under the same handle. You can find me on this network with my good friend Tribs. If we ever get to record another one again, I have 2 more in the hopper that aren't with him, and then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming there on Mickey's Marvels. Don't forget the apostrophe. And you can find me on the UFP page. If you comment, I comment back. So, Amy, where can people find you on the interwebs when you're not gallivanting around the galaxy?
You can find me, thank you, on the UFP Facebook page because I'm there, and I absolutely am loving the conversation and the discussion that's going on and the listener feedback. Thank you so much. You know who you are. We just absolutely love it. We as in I. I speak for you, yeah?
In this one, yes, you do.
Yeah.